My name is Joe Davis. I'm the principal partner for Thanda International, or Mowiti-Thanda, and it's just a pleasure for me to actually be here today. We reached out to DroneCon to really become participatory in this movement that you have here in South Africa. And let me share this. I'm not going to give a lot of statistics, but I'm going to give you a lot of case studies from personal experience, because I think it's important. Not only do you become better pilots, but you also become better businessmen and find out where the markets are at. And that's strategically, that's where I'm going to be talking from. But there's a couple of shout outs I got to give. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a couple of thank yous I have to give. The first one I have to give is to the U.S. Consulate. They have been great to me. There is a partnership between South Africa and the United States government. I strongly use the consulate here. Rhonda and some of you may know Johan, and John is a fellow Packer. I'm from the state of Wisconsin, so some say Wisconsin. So we enjoy coming here to South Africa, reaching out to our consulate, because they actually give us a market analysis on what's really going on. And I can tell you that your market has a potential of growing. And number two, and what's more important, I think you have the opportunity to set the trend in all of sub-Saharan Africa. The other person I'd like to give thanks to is Rachel Braun from Paramount. We have reached out to Paramount, been going back and forth. I've got two representatives from Paramount. I want to think that they're here because I kind of kindly twisted their arm, and one is wearing a sling, but I'm glad to have them here. But it's this type of relationship, corporate public-private partnership, that you have to establish not only as drone pilots, but also as a business person, because that's going to grow the market. Because the service is going to have to be delivered. We just want to be the people who deliver that service responsibly. And then finally, most of you have encountered Avril. I think she's crazy. But yet and still, she has certain energy in her that makes this conference great. When you walk in and you encounter somebody and they welcome you to a conference, Sean, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, his passion for this industry, to grow this industry, is second to none. And I think you got to respect that no matter where you're at in the world. So thank you, Sean, for your passion. And please exchange my sentiment to Avril. She'll probably know. She says, oh, okay, it's right. So let me get into some of my case studies that I have. I've got 16 years in local government. I also served at the national level with the National League of Cities. And also, I was a world member to the United Cities Local Governments, that is actually with the UN. And some of the things that I've become involved in, we're going to have a little discussion about some of those things and how I utilize that information to actually grow the knowledge within the unmanned aircraft industry, but also to be a better businessman. So this particular case study is with SALGA, the South African Local Governments Association. I got familiar with SALGA some time ago, probably back in 2009, 2010, when I started traveling back and forth to South Africa. As a board member to the National League of Cities, what I found out is that the National League of Cities had a great training program for local councilors and mayors. And what I understood is that SALGA had the same type of training program, but they were trying to build capacity or structure within that platform. So we reached out to SALGA. During that time, I had numerous conversations with premiers and mayors and local councilors about the opportunity to actually establish these particular relationships. Well, the key thing in this particular case study is then I approached the State Department. And the State Department sent one of the highest ranking members here to South Africa to actually sign the agreement. She was the special representative to local, state, and government. And with SALGA, we actually achieved in the State Department's history the first international agreement that had to deal with local government. Now, why is that important? Because South Africa, in United States history, now has, you got the calling card that says, we were the first with the U.S. to really start building capacity with local government. Now, most of you are saying, what does this have to do with drones? Because you have an opportunity to provide service to local government. I think it was said to some of those panelists. But you have to understand the standard operating procedures or some of the mindset on the needs, number one, of local government. But number two, the dynamics. You have to understand the structure of local governments. And most importantly, I think, mayors come and go, but citizens always remain behind. And so you have to really you have to spend time to play a role on how to be part of that long-term growth of that community. So the takeaways from that case study is, number one, you got to know the opportunities that exist or are established in that market. I know that if I go to the city of Mowiti-Thanda currently right now, I know that there are townships where there is not potable water that's there. I know that there is an opportunity for me to work with local government to fly over agricultural area because sugarcane is one of their main markets that's there. I know that in the city of Mowiti-Thanda that there is a wood industry, and there's also, most importantly, a port. Imports, exports, Transnet pretty much operates all of the ports. Those type of thinking, now you're able to sit down with leaders of those particular municipalities and really talk about a needs assessment, but and quite honestly, you're in the business of actually satisfying the customer. And yes, government can be a customer. No matter how much you may think that they're ineffective, they still have disposable revenue that they can spend on contractual services. And so the other thing is focus on how to add value to the existing and established market. I talked about Salga really wanting to grow the capacity in local councilors. And what we found out is that as they wanted to grow capacity in local councilors, the only thing they wanted to do is to kind of reach out and find out the U.S. market and see how councilors actually pass legislation. We were doing the same thing as Salga, but we were doing it a little bit different. And when they came back and implement some of the strategies, that's when you start seeing some of the municipalities become a lot more effective. And then finally, you got to build the relationships with the influencers. Sometimes it's not the people who are in local government, it's the private sector partners. It's the folks who really have private businesses but have a strong relationship with the municipality that can actually get you where you need to be at. And then finally, you want to deliver a unique brand that gives that wow effect. So when you're done with that contract, they're not saying, what the heck did they just give me? How do you understand this? But you actually delivered not only customer service, but data that they can understand in a platform that when they have to actually issue another contract, it's a no-brainer. They're coming back to you because you've established that relationship. So let's go to case study number 2. I talked about the city of Mowiti-Thanda. We were here, I'm with the mayor, and we were able to attract about 2.5 million rand to a development in that area. What we understood was that there was a water treatment plant that was supplying water to an area, but it went directly through the traditional area and into the townships. The mayor came to me and says, you know, what we want to do is we want to supply people in this traditional area some homes. So what we did was we spent money from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We brought it in, investment into the city, no cost to the city. And it built, once again, I'll keep saying this, relationship with that leadership of those particular municipalities, to the point that I got a key to the city of Mowiti-Thanda. I don't know when it opens, but I got a key, right? But the main thing is that if I go to the city of Mowiti-Thanda, I've already not only established a relationship with the mayor, because the one who were able to carry out this project was the mayor who actually came after him. So you'll see here that it was so important that we actually had the president of Sister Cities International to actually lead the delegation to actually do the groundbreaking. So the takeaways from this: know the needs of the local municipalities. Had I not spent time in that local municipality and talked to the Nkosi and really sat down and talked to stakeholders that was in that area, the construction companies, can it be done, all of these other things, then I would not be able to get that project done. Well, how does this deal with the unmanned aircraft system? The unmanned aircraft system currently right now, as water is concerned, you know that that is going to be one of the biggest service delivery aspects here in South Africa. What happened in Cape Town has an opportunity to happen just about everywhere. Make your assessment creates a win-win situation as you deliver your customer service, as you deliver your customers, your services to your customers, and then always seek additional and added value services. Go over and beyond. Sometimes we want to get paid for everything what we do, but that little extra actually helps you secure that next contract. And so case study number 3. I come from a cold area called Wisconsin. We have snow. This particular case study is where the State Patrol actually flew a Matrice 200. And what you see is that the ground was cold, but a warm front came through, which created fog. When it created fog, we had 2 vehicles that ended up colliding. The fog lifted, semi came down, and here in the middle of the vehicle, you can see how he actually T-boned the 2 vehicles. Now, I'm getting into the crux of my discussion. These are drone photos from the Sheriff's Department. They took it up right away when the crash occurred. They use it for crash reconstruction. They also use it for emergency management. We have a helicopter called Flight for Life that we also use. And so these are the type of photos here in South Africa where I know that road fatalities are an issue as you get on some of the 2-lane roads, that if you work with the police services or the local municipality, you can get that aircraft up in the air and capture some data so you learn from some of these things, especially some of the dangerous roads that you have here in South Africa. So takeaways from this, I'm just going to go real quick. Create a culture of collaboration with your partners. You have law enforcement that is very structured. And when law enforcement is very structured, they go by SOPs. And when they go by SOPs, you become part of that team. And when you're part of that team, you have to stay in your lane. Because sometimes we have armchair law enforcement folks, and that's going to get you kicked off of the particular, off of the crime scene. The other thing it will do is it helps you build credibility with law enforcement so that when you supply law enforcement with data, and if they have to take it to court, then it's actually credible data and it can be used in court. And the last one is just what I talked about, achieve to become the subject expert in the team concept. So they can actually cordon off all of the off-ramps and stop traffic, but when that bird gets in the sky, that's your wheel spot. And when you talk to them, you have to let them know and feel confident that they don't have to worry about that, because when the mission is over with, they're going to get exactly what they expect. And so long-term objectives in the 3 major sectors, I'll go through them real quick. Water resources and services. This is actually from the National Development Plan, South Africa's National Development Plan. You'll see where South Africa is at, where it's pretty much in the stress area or the scarcity area. That is a concern because freshwater basins are drying up. So water should be recognized as a foundation for activities such as tourism, recreation, further reinforcing the importance of its protection. Well, here's another case study that I'll tell you that had to deal with the city of Mowiti-Thanda. They have four freshwater lakes. Right now, they don't know the capacity of those lakes, nor do they know what type of plant life is growing in there. What we did was we talked to them about unmanned aircraft systems and some of the options that they have, and now we have an opportunity to possibly provide service for the city, for the Mowiti-Thanda municipal water. Second case study, agriculture growth and employment potential. You'll see the top 2. I have a good friend that exports apples into Kenya and Zimbabwe. He's proudly South African owned, making very good money. He's using the drone industry in order for him to actually analyze his crops. And so, expanding commercial agriculture has a potential of creating 250,000 direct jobs and a further 130,000 indirect jobs. I don't need to say more. Agricultural industry is your wheel spot. I drove from Gauteng to Mpumalanga through Mpopo and down to KZN and to the Eastern Cape. And y'all got some tough agriculture here. If y'all can ever get that right, I don't think the Southern Hemisphere needs to worry about food anymore, because I think you guys got enough land to supply that. And then finally, the technological change. People, and unfortunately, some of those who like to do things the old way resist this. The technological change is coming, and this is the reason why it's coming. You guys remember all of the science and technology when the internet was invented? This is a very pertinent slide, right? Because this is GPS coordinates. So before, when you had the donkey and the plow and the horse and everything else plowing the land, no more is it. We got a company that's called International Harvester Case in Wisconsin that actually use GPS in its vehicles and also drones flying overboard. So this is the reason why I get excited, because I remember President Thabo Mbeki doing a lecture at Northwestern University in Illinois. And someone stood up and said, President Mbeki, we're here to help you. And he says, that's a problem. Person looked puzzled. No, but we're here to help you. And President Mbeki said, that's a problem. And then finally somebody had to tell the folks, if you want to actually help or get into the game, you can't live in the United States and expect to be part of the solution in another country. And that's the reason why my wife and I, honey, can you stand up? She's part of Thanda International also. Thanda International is here at DroneCon to launch our joint venture. Can you wave at them? You can give a round of applause for my wife. That's fine. Okay. We're here to launch a partnership with William Morelli. William, can you stand? William is our, thank you for 2, 3, oh, all right, there we go. You know, William has been in the surveying business for a long time, and what we want to do is we want to add capacity and also capital to his company. The reason why we're doing this joint venture is because we believe in South Africa. We believe that the market can grow. We believe that the aircrafts in which we actually design or import into this country not only has to be perfected, but they also have to be operated the right way. So here's my quote for the day. The market must not focus on more operators, but excellent pilots. So with that being said, I want to thank you, and thanks for your attention.